Hello, podcast fam. I am thrilled to share some exciting news. My book, Sow, Grow, Lead, is officially live on Amazon. This book is more than just my story of starting a nonprofit and building a peanut butter factory in Malawi. So trust me, the ups and downs of that journey are worth the read. It's also packed with practical strategies to help nonprofit leaders like you tackle challenges with clarity, courage, and a whole lot of heart. If you've ever wondered how to turn your vision into reality, navigate the inevitable hurdles, and build something meaningful, whether in your organization or in your own life, this book is for you. I'd be so grateful for your support in spreading the word. Grab your copy of Sow, Grow, Lead in the show notes and on Amazon today. Let's keep sowing seeds of impact together. Welcome to the Lead with Heart podcast, which is dedicated to nonprofit leaders who are passionate about making a difference. I'm your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm thrilled to have you join us on a journey of growth, inspiration, and transformation. At Lead with Heart, we believe that leading with heart means embracing empathy, compassion, and authenticity in every aspect of our work. It's about putting people first, fostering genuine connections, and creating a positive impact that goes beyond numbers and metrics. In the nonprofit world, it can often feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. The challenges are immense and the road can be lonely. But here, you're not alone. This podcast is a community where we support each other, share our stories, and learn together. Each episode will dive into personal and professional development topics tailored specifically for nonprofit leaders. From innovative fundraising strategies and effective team management to self-care practices and leadership insights, we're here to provide you with practical strategies that you can apply to your life and work. My goal is to empower you, elevate your leadership, and engage your heart in all that you do. I want to help you navigate the unique challenges of the nonprofit sector with confidence and resilience, so you can continue to create meaningful change in the world. So whether you're driving to a meeting, taking a break, or winding down for the day, tune in and join us on this journey. Together we'll discover what it truly means to lead with heart. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lead with Heart podcast. This is your host, Haley Cooper, and I'm thrilled to welcome Sean Littleman to the podcast. Sean is a true disruptor in the nonprofit digital space, bringing over a decade of expertise in digital marketing to help organizations grow and scale. Through his signature Elevate and Accelerate method, he's transformed the ways nonprofits leverage Google grants and email marketing to build stronger communities and increase impact. Not only that, but he's also the founder of GiveSuite.com, an innovative all-in-one fundraising platform designed specifically for small nonprofits. Well, welcome to the show, Sean.
Thank you so much, Haley. I'm really happy to be on your show. It's always fun to be on the other end of the microphone for a change. And I really enjoyed having you on my show back a couple months ago. So I figured this is going to be a real hoot too. So yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, I always love to have these conversations. And I always like to say I'm a savvy fundraiser, not a savvy marketer. So I am very excited to learn from you today. And I know that my audience will as well. So can you talk to me a little bit about how you came about really niching down into the nonprofit digital space?
Sure. My background's in sales and business development, and I've been selling things since I was 13. And then I ended up working for a guy who was a marketer back in the day, about like maybe 10 years ago, a little bit more. And he was one of those marketing people that was very hidden about everything he did. He wouldn't tell you everything, but he wanted me to come sell his marketing services to people. At least there's a lot of marketers out there that are sell high ticket services, but deliver like nothing. And this was the case. And I was like, this is stupid. I don't want to, how am I supposed to sell your stuff if you're not telling me what you're doing? And so I was like, this is really stupid. So I stopped working for him and I ended up getting into media buying and learning a bunch of stuff in the media buying space and learning how to leverage media buys for top of funnel traffic and creating custom audiences based on those media buys. And then I got into Facebook ads and I was charging like $300 a month to do Facebook ads. And now I charge 10 times that, you know, and all that led to, we're doing this for profit companies, we're doing e-com, we're doing lead gen, doing like everything else that everybody else was doing. And somehow we discovered the Google ad grants. And everybody knows about Google for Nonprofits, but nobody knows how to use it. And at the time, it was the rule with Google ad grants, if you don't use it, you lose it. And so we were working on Google grants for people, and we realized that people who were doing them were not doing it right. So the key to winning at the internet and the key to winning at marketing, and especially Google, is, and especially search, is be the answer to the problem people are looking for on the internet, and then you win. So when you're dealing with search ads, especially with Google grant ads, where it's not like paid Google campaigns where you can just throw money at Google and they don't care what the heck you do. It's a grant. So just like regular grants, cash grants, any type of grant, you have rules and regulations. So we figured out how to build a system that worked to win at Google. And that was creating campaigns based on key search terms that people were looking for, build landing pages and offers around those key search terms, drive people to those landing pages, give them the answer to the problem they were looking for, get them to download the ebook, get them to download whatever the offer was, and then exchange for the email and put them on an email sequence and continue the conversation. Marketing is all about continuing the conversation. A lot of people don't realize that, especially when it comes to fundraising. People do their fundraising campaigns, but what happens after? And so we created the system of what happens after, because it's all about cultivation, continuous cultivation and retention. And if you're not cultivating your donors, you're not cultivating these people continuing the conversation, then when it comes time to fundraise again, you're going to ask for money and they're going to be like, who the hell are you? So our entire system of elevate and accelerate, elevate your community, accelerate your monthly giving, accelerate your community is all about cultivation. It's all about getting them in the door and then continuing that conversation, because these people who are coming through Google right now have no clue who you are. They saw something that sparked their interest, that you answered their problem, and now they're like, all right, cool, let's check this out. So they come in, you get them in the door, and you got to keep them happy. You got to keep them happy, you got to keep them engaged, you got to keep them entertained, and that's all part of the email marketing follow-up. And when you follow up with them and continue that conversation, then you win.
You are speaking my love language. I am a huge proponent of what happens after the gift, or what happens after someone engages for the first time, right? Like, you have to keep them engaged and understand why, remind them, I should say, why they said yes in the first place. And so I totally resonate with that and appreciate how you frame that. And when it comes to nonprofit, what are offers? What is an offer? And what are some of the things that they can create to get people in the door?
Sure. Well, that's a fantastic question, because organizations have a million different things that they do, but people in organizations don't think outside of their box. They don't realize that there's a million different things that they could pretty much crunch down and compartmentalize into an offer. So we like to do a lot of ebooks. Like, for example, if you're an organization that does mental health work, or if you're dealing with therapies, different types of therapies, you can create an ebook or a white paper based around the different therapies that you do and tie it into what you're doing. For example, one of our really successful funnels was with this guy called the Bipolar Wellness Foundation. And he was a doctor, a therapist, and he was also diagnosed with bipolar back in the 60s. And he figured out a natural cure for bipolar for himself, wrote this massive book. It's on Amazon, sells tons of copies of it. And we chunked it down into an ebook, condensed into a 7-page ebook. And the funnel was natural cure for bipolar. How do I cure my bipolar? Driving people to the landing page, explaining more about who he is, what he's all about, get the ebook. People got the ebook. They booked a consultation with him. Then he would sell them for 3 sessions for $500. Another one of our funnels was another therapy clinic. They're called Thank You Life. They're actually a GiveSuite user too. And they do psychedelic therapies. They do ketamine therapies. And we created this whole ebook based on understanding how to handle the crash and understanding how to the come down of the ketamine therapy. And people were downloading, people were going through it, people were getting, because you have to give useful information. It has to be a good offer. It can't be something stupid. It has to be something that's valuable, that people are going to use, something that could be tangible, that people are going to take with them. Like, for example, with a lot of the Jewish organizations we work with, I'm Jewish. If you guys are watching, you can tell I'm wearing an orange yarmulke on my head. And so with a lot of the Jewish organizations we work with, we create holiday-centric downloads and certain guides for Rosh Hashanah, coloring pages for Hanukkah, different things for different seasonal holidays. And those fly off the shelves because it's stuff that people can use. It's tangible and it's branded to your organization. But the key is the follow-up. And this is the key with anything in marketing, anything in sales, anything in fundraising, anything in life. Follow-ups lead to fortunes. And so whether you're following up with retargeting ads, whether you're following up with retention marketing tools, which is something I'd love to talk about too, that we just got into, and nobody in the nonprofit world, especially in the digital world, is doing it, which is something really cool. But it's all about the follow-up. So part of what we like to do is create a 10-part email sequence for the initial engagement, because the first half is all about talking to them, all about conversation, all about introducing them to the organization. There's no ask for money. And people screw this up all the time when they start asking for money. And you know this. Everybody wants money. Everyone just wants to ask for money, but you can't ask for money for people who don't know who the hell you are.
Yeah.
So it's all about creating that conversation, warming them up, and towards the end of the email sequence, then you start asking them to partner with you, not donate, partner with you, get them to do something bigger than they are versus a direct ask. And it works. And we see significantly higher donations from people on that space that are going through that funnel than if it's a direct ask.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I think I just read something on LinkedIn. I don't know who wrote it, but it's talking about how affinity almost trumps capacity. So that person has to have the affinity or understanding of what your organization does. And then when they have the capacity to give, they give in a more meaningful way. But it's out of that understanding of how they can meaningfully invest in your mission.
Right, because it's all about education. It's all about educating people. It's all about educating the user. It's all about educating the people and giving them more information before they do anything.
So obviously you have been at the forefront of digital marketing in the nonprofit space. Besides the follow-up, which I know a lot of nonprofits struggle with, what are some other big mistakes nonprofits making when it comes to leveraging digital tools, and how can they start shifting their mindset?
I think that a lot of it comes down to, and I was having this conversation on a podcast I hosted today with a wonderful woman named Ria Wong. We were talking about that people are scared. Like, they're scared to invest in their marketing. They're scared to take the dive into understanding their marketing and really create proper marketing channels outside of, hey, we posted on Instagram today, or yeah, we sent out a newsletter. No one gives a crap, honestly. Like, you have to take a deeper dive and understand who your audience is, how to effectively communicate with them, what mediums they're engaging with you on, how to engage effectively with them on those mediums, and the frequency that you're engaging with them. And a lot of this stuff doesn't have to be big budget stuff. It's just a matter of sitting down, having the right people in place to go over and look at the numbers, look at what's going on. And a lot of nonprofits screw this up because they think that marketing is kind of like a dirty word in the nonprofit space, which is stupid, because nonprofits are businesses. Businesses invest money in marketing because businesses see the ROI on it. The difference in the ROI here is just donations versus purchases, relatively the same thing. And the impact and the lifetime value of the person within a nonprofit could be astronomical because it's generational. The impact that you're having on somebody within a nonprofit is generational versus a product, which has a cutoff. And people don't understand that. They don't see that you have the lifetime value of investing in your marketing, because each donor, each constituent is not just one person. I have 5 kids, right? So I give to one organization. My kids see that I'm giving this organization. My kids want to get involved. So each one of them starts to get involved. And whether they're volunteering, whether they're doing this, whether they're doing that. And I had this conversation with an organization who was looking to sign up with GiveSuite about creating associations, because they said, we have a family of 5 people. The father gives money, the mother gives money, the kids volunteer their times with us. This one does this one. So it's a whole generational thing versus a product. So investing in the marketing to get to each demographic within the organization is something that could pay off huge, but people screw it up because they don't think about it. They don't think outside the box. Everyone sees what everybody else is doing, and everyone else is doing nothing. So like, all right, let's just baseline it and keep it here, because if we go a little outside, then maybe something bad is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote about that on LinkedIn today, and I just shared it in an interview that I just recorded, which will come out right before this. But I think segmentation is key and personalization is key. I invested thousands of dollars in a company to publish my book, and I am getting, in this same day, texts saying, follow up with your coach to talk about how your book is doing. And also DMs on LinkedIn that say first name instead of my actual name, asking if I want to publish a book because my LinkedIn profile looks like a perfect fit. So I'm like, you got to know your people and you got to segment and understand where your people are in the journey of giving, whether it's they're just being introduced to your organization. What does it look like to engage them in a further way to be able to ask them? Or like we talked about earlier, once someone gives, whether it's a new donor or a current donor, what does that look like? And
Right.
how can you properly communicate them using digital marketing tools to make them feel seen, heard, and engaged in your mission?
No, 100%. And this is why it's all about storytelling too, and it's also really understanding your audience. You get spammed with this cold outreach all the time. I get spammed with this cold outreach all the time. Hey, name, it's like, okay. People don't understand. If you take the extra step to do the research to see who you're actually talking to, creating a personalized message is a key difference to anything in what you're doing. And understanding your target market, again, it's just like in business. You have to understand your ICP. And once you understand who you're dealing with, then you can craft the messages. It takes a little bit of work, but you're going to see significant return on it. It's like with social media. Everyone thinks that social media is just blanket. The same post you can throw up on Instagram, you can throw up on Facebook, you can throw up on LinkedIn, you can throw up on X. Doesn't work like that. Each social media platform has its own voice, has its own power to it. And what you're posting on LinkedIn is not going to convert the same way as what you're posting on Facebook. What you're posting on Instagram is not going to be the same and not going to engage the same people as what you're posting on Facebook or LinkedIn. And the same goes for X and TikTok. Like, you have to know where your people are at. People ask me all the time, hey, should I be on TikTok? Should I be on this? It's like, well, where's your audience? Who are you talking to? Where are you trying to get money from? I always say, just go to YouTube. Just be on YouTube.
Yeah. And I think also I was reading somewhere else that people's attention spans have gone down even more, where it used to be like the reels on Instagram are going to be getting shorter because people's attention span is now down to 7 seconds.
Dear
Is that
God.
true? It's
Yes.
like,
Dear God.
it's significantly less than it was. And so you have to be able to capture those people's attention in the first like 5 to 7 seconds.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's a huge problem because how do you create content that is going to hook people and explain what you're doing and get them to click all in 7 seconds?
Yeah.
Like, it's insane. But this is why, again, like social media, you have to know where your audience is, where your crowd's hanging out in order to be able to create compelling campaigns. I also like to tell nonprofits to produce podcasts. I used to produce podcasts for nonprofits because it's a massive source of content. You get written, you get audio, you get visual, you get social from it. And it's storytelling. It's all about creative storytelling, because podcasts you can create insane stories from podcasts. I produced a podcast once for a nonprofit. It was for a volunteer EMS organization, and they have chapters all over the United States and in different parts of the rest of the world, in Europe and Israel. And we created a podcast for them. And it was me. I didn't know anything about this because I'm not actually one of these guys, but I hosted the show because why not? And it was sitting down with all the executive directors of the organizations, hearing their stories, understanding why they got into this whole world of volunteer EMS and EMTs. And everybody has a story. Everybody has something different that they share. And then you ask one common question and everybody has a different answer. And it's stories. And the thing blew up. These guys were making donations like crazy because people wanted to sponsor the show because people loved it. It was engaging content that also had a purpose to it. It generated a ton of money.
Yeah, and I think that's an important part too. It's like engaging content with a purpose. If you have a rule, you need to post 5 days a week. You don't just post to post. There has to be a purpose behind the content in which you're posting.
Yeah, 100%. And this is why I feel like a lot of nonprofits like miss the boat on that, because they feel like they just have to put something up. But you have to stop and think for a second. What's the purpose of this post? What's the value of this post? What's my goal with this post? And what's going to be the outcome? And if you don't think about these things before you run your social media campaigns, you're just throwing stuff up there just for the sake of throwing stuff up there for viability. And then it's just a waste. It's just a waste of content. It's a waste of energy. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's frustrating. Then you see the stats and they're not going the way that you want them. And I think it being more intentional, you will see the stats that you want. And a little bit earlier, you talked about the power of Google Grants. We all know that the power of the Google Grant, but I think, like you said, many nonprofits either don't know about it, know how to use it. They apply, and then they're like, now what do we do with this Google ad grant? So can you break down more about how they work and share some success stories of how nonprofits have used them to drive impact?
Oh, sure. Google used to work with TechSoup to verify Google grants, but TechSoup lost the contract with Google because there came out a whole scam of people creating fake nonprofits to get the Google grants so their businesses could get $10,000 in search ads. We actually dealt with a few of these people, and I told them that you're wasting your time. So now TechSoup no longer verifies the accounts, but a company called Percent does. And so it's a very easy process. You fill out their form, you just upload your documentation, whether it's your 501c3, your UK charity document, your Canadian nonprofit document, whatever country you're in. And it takes 2 to 14 business days. And then they approve you. You get into Google for Nonprofits. Not only do you get the Google grant, which is $10,000 a month in search ad credits, but you get Google Workspace for free for your entire organization. So you get branded emails for your entire organization. You get up to 1 terabyte of Google Drive storage for your entire organization. You get enhanced Google Maps and Google My Business so that your organization is more recognized. You get YouTube Creator Studio and YouTube Fundraising. And most people don't know this. Most people don't know this and they don't take advantage of it. But so with the Google grant, once you get it, you have this ability to create these campaigns. And what a lot of people do, and a lot of these agencies do, they recommend people doing brand campaigns. And brand campaigns are basically just running ads to your website and running ads direct traffic to your site with 0 call to actions to them, which is really stupid. Because as I always say, nobody on the internet is looking for your organization to give you money. I hate to break it to you. Nobody is going to Google and saying, hi, I want to give. So you have to be creative. You have to think outside the box. You have to use your brain a little bit. And this, as I said, part of our whole process is doing the keyword research, creating campaigns based on keywords that people are looking for based on what your organization does, seeing what the search volume is, what the search frequency is, how high of a search frequency there is, so that way you can create multiple campaigns that are going to be doing what you want them to do, and then structuring that offer that's going to, again, everything moves seamless. If you have a good offer, a good follow-up, and the right audience, everything moves seamless throughout the process. And so once we do that, we build out the campaigns, we build out the pages, we build out the offer, we set up the automations. And one of the things I actually have started to do now, which nobody's doing, is adding a retention marketing pixel onto people's sites. Retention marketing is a huge thing in the e-com world. You have companies like retention.com, RB2B, LeadPost that do this stuff with e-com companies. So when someone comes to your website and they don't opt in, you have a pixel on the site that will grab their data, because everybody who hits, I accept the cookies on my site, blah, blah, blah. We're able to get that data and we're able to pull that information into our CRMs, and we're able to pull that information and put these people on automated email sequences. So we're doing that in the nonprofit world, because what's the difference between that and e-com? Nothing. So we're getting these people, we're growing people's lists significantly faster. And instead of going straight to email 1 in the sequence, we do a little half step in that email sequence saying, hey, we noticed that you're interested in our ebook. Here it is. Enjoy. And then you put them on the welcome sequence. And I'm doing this on the flip side also with donations. When we're doing high volume donation campaigns, we're driving traffic to people who are high intent straight to donate campaigns. People who aren't donating right away because something happens, we're shooting them an email saying, hey, we noticed you tried to make a donation to our campaign. Here you go. Here's a chance. And we're seeing significant increase in donations. Nobody's doing this. And so this is all part of our process that gets people in. So it goes back to that email marketing sequence, creating a whole storyline and a whole story sequence, and then pushing them into donations. And then once they get past that sequence, then we put them on a general sequence. We see how they've engaged, what they've been doing, send out frequent or infrequent mailings to them. And then when it comes to the Google grant side, backing up to Google, we like to set the budget as high as you can for the day. So you want to set it up to at least $365 to $370 a day. And you have multiple campaigns going, multiple things bidding. But with the grant, you're not allowed to bid on single keywords. So you have to create strings of keywords. For example, I like to use this example with the Jewish organizations. When is Rosh Hashanah 2024? And so we bid on that. And we generally outrank a lot of the big Jewish organizations who are putting out content for Rosh Hashanah. Little small organization, because they don't put their marketing dollars into that because they think they own the market. But we own the market. And so you bid on strings of keywords. Like the bipolar guy is, how do I cure my bipolar? Natural cure for bipolar wellness, bipolar cure. And you bid on these strings of keywords. And once you get the bid, you're generally spending out every day. And if you set up your campaigns right, you can spend the entire $10,000 in a month and significant opt-ins into your email list. So that's really the process.
That's amazing. And yeah, it's always like when I go to like shop on something and then I get the email, you forgot something in your cart, and you're like, I know I did, but now I'm more likely to probably go back. And then it gets selling out, like last order. And I'm like, okay, well, do I really want this? Yes, I'm going to go buy it now. Like, I guess that's the same principle that applies to this idea of retention marketing.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is nobody in the nonprofit digital space is doing it from what I've seen, and nobody talks about it. It's absolutely crazy.
You mentioned retention.com. Like, how is this accessible to nonprofits, and what are some of the tools that they can use? Let's say they're a small shop.
So I wouldn't use retention.com specifically for nonprofits. LeadPost is a partner of ours, and they have a nonprofit plan specifically. You get 20% off, and they generally sell to agencies, and you get the pixel, and we put it on the site, and it's based on, you can set the threshold of how many leads you want to get with it, and you can put the pixel on any page you want on the website. You can set the parameters to trigger how that you want them to trigger, and you can do all sorts of really cool things with it. And that's why we're testing it with direct to donation pages, and we're also testing it with just our regular Google grant funnels for increased opt-ins. And we're actually running it for ourselves right now on the GiveSuite site too. Anybody who comes to the site but doesn't book a strategy call with me, they get an email saying, hey, we noticed that you're interested in software. Here's our mini course on understanding software as a strategy.
Imagine a fundraising partner that not only helps you raise more money, but also supports you in retaining your donors. A partner that helps you raise funds both online and on location, so you can grow your impact faster. That's DonorBox, a comprehensive suite of tools, services, and resources that give fundraisers just like you a custom solution to tackle your unique challenges, helping you achieve the growth and sustainability your organization needs, helping you help others. Visit donorbox.org to learn more. Wow. That is fascinating to me. And now I want to go down the rabbit hole of learning more. And maybe my listeners will book a strategy call with you to see how they can do the same, because it seems like there's just exponential growth in email lists, but people who have said yes and want to invest in your mission. And I think when it comes to email marketing, like we were talking about earlier, we want to drive people to the email, drive people to the website. But nonprofits often struggle with email marketing, specifically that follow-up piece and like the sequences. Either email enough, they only email when they have something to ask for, like an event or a campaign. And their emails don't really have clear calls to action or don't inspire that clear action. So what are some key elements of an effective nonprofit email marketing strategy?
Well, you got to have the right system. You have to have the right system that's going to grow with you. And this is actually one of the reasons why we built GiveSuite, because we were sick and tired of all these other ESPs and other nonprofit systems out there. No offense to your sponsor, but we saw that there was tremendous limitations. And a lot of these email marketing platforms have limitations to them. And so you can't even create proper email sequencing without paying a ton of money to get the unlocked features. And so the key to running a really good email marketing campaign is having no limitations, to be able to do as many drips and automations as you can, to be able to keep the flow going, and to be able to have it so you can grow your contact list and keep segmenting out and keep talking to them. And then also having good quality templates that you can use that are engaging, that are eye-catching, that invite somebody in to want to actually click. That's actually how I got a user last week. She heard me on a podcast and she booked a call with me, and she's like, I'm having issues with my email marketing. All the templates we're using in the specific system were just all clunky and crappy. And she's like, I want to take a look at yours. Can I see it? And I showed her. She's like, wow, these are gorgeous. I said, yeah, and they're high converting too. And she said, that's awesome. The price that I'm going to pay you per month is what I'm paying just for that system alone. I said, yeah, that's the whole point. She's like, I'm signed up. Let's do it. And so when you have good templates, when you have good copy, good creative, and again, you understand who you're talking to, then you're going to win at email marketing. If you're just sending out a blanket mailer to your entire list of like 20,000 contacts, half of them you haven't talked to in a million years, you're going to have high bounce rates. You're going to have low deliverability rates. You're going to have terrible open and click rates. And then you've just shot yourself in the foot because you can't do that again. Now, can you? And it's also about warming up the list. If you haven't talked to your list in like a long time, you don't want to send out a massive email blast to the entire lot of them. You want to slowly wake them up. You want to slowly drip into them. You want to slowly ease them in. So one, when you do, let's say what I like to do is 100 at a time over the course of a day or so, because you want to wake up the mailing system and wake up gauge the deliverability, gauge the open rates and click rates. Instead of throwing everything out there, you can see what's working, what's not working, and then go all in.
Yeah, and I think that's so important also to have that consistency of bringing consistency, right? Of this is who we are, this is how we're going to communicate, and then understanding who you are communicating to and tailoring the message to whatever segment you are talking to. I had a client who was very honed in on unsubscription numbers, and I wrote this on a comment the other day, but they had 5,000 people over the span of 20 years in their email marketing system, and they didn't know who they were talking to, or if these people were still engaged, or maybe they had been mentors and now they're like out of college and starting families. But where was the communication between when they were a mentor to now their life stage, and what does that look like, and how do you communicate to them? And there were a number of unsubscribes, and it was like, well, those people are opting out, and that's not a bad thing. Like Caitlin, who was on my podcast, always talks about unsubscription rates. So I was like pulling her LinkedIn post and like referencing, because I was like, they're opening up more opportunity for people who want to actually commit to giving to your organization.
100%. Like when you get rid of the unsubscribes, then those are the people who have zero intent whatsoever to connect with you. And so the more condensed your list is, the higher the return is going to be on that, because clearly these people want to engage with you. But then you also have to do it right. You have to create a message that's going to actually engage with them.
I know that like it is tedious work setting up front. I have a post going out on Monday talking about how I love to meal prep, but I don't love all the dishes on a Sunday, but I do love it on a Thursday when I don't have to think about what I'm going to have for dinner because I did all the work ahead of time. And I'm just thinking of my future self. And I feel like when it comes to setting up those sequences, yes, it is tedious in the beginning and you have to check it twice. You have to make sure that they're updated and the funnel is continuing to be on brand. But I think it is definitely worth the time and effort it takes up front to build in those sequences. Because like you said, you're going to see more revenue in the door.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And it's like really a no-brainer. But again, I think the whole issue comes back to marketing in general, is that it's about the bandwidth. It's about, the bandwidth of a lot of these organizations. And segueing into our Give Suite a little bit, like our product, this is one of the things that we've been doing. We built this whole system to enable the single run show nonprofit to become the $1 million nonprofit. And by creating a tool that has all the systems that you need to automate everything to be able to scale without having to rely on volunteers and bandwidth issues that are causing you to be like squashed.
Yeah, definitely. And we both know that digital marketing isn't just about quick wins. It's about long-term sustainability. So as we wrap up, like what advice would you give to nonprofit leaders listening to this? And they're like, yes, we want to scale our impact without burning out our teams or overwhelming the donors. What advice would you give them?
I would say just start now, start re-engaging with your list, start re-engaging with your donors, start re-engaging with your constituents. Just send out emails saying, hey, we're not dead, or we've just been busy saving the whales. It's like a little tap on the shoulder saying, hey, we're not dead. Great. Start now. Really, just start now. Get the ball rolling. Start waking them up. Start talking to them, because once you start talking to these people, they're yours. They already at some point opted in for something at one time or another for what you're doing. So they already have some sort of connection to you. Just re-engage the connection. And then when it comes to really thinking about your marketing, you have to really understand what makes you so special and why I should give a crap about you and what makes you different from everybody else and how you're raising your hand higher than everybody else in order to get in the space. Because at the end of the day, everybody's going after everybody's money, the same money. Everyone's going after the same money. And how are you going to get your hand in that pile of cash when everybody else is clamoring through that? So you have to take a step back, understand who you are, what you're all about, what makes your organization different from all the other Save the Whales organizations out there, and start building a marketing plan based on your uniqueness, based on your specialties, based on how you are above everybody else. And once you understand these things, it doesn't matter what stage you're at, because you still have to reevaluate. But once you understand who you are and what you're all about, then you can really start scaling.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I surely have learned a lot. If people want to learn more about you and GiveSuite, where can they find you?
So you can definitely connect with me on LinkedIn. I post a lot of content over there. You can also check out our YouTube channel, The Nonprofit Academy. You can definitely check out givesuite.com, www.givesuite.com, and you can book a strategy call with me. And you can also check out my podcast, Profiting with Nonprofits. Haley, you were a guest and it was a lot of fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You can shoot me an email, sean@givesuite.com. You can also check out our agency site, catch22nonprofit.com. I'm pretty much all over the internet. I put out a lot of content, so I come up in a lot of different places, which is a good thing, because the more you diversify your content, the more people find you and the easier it is to win at what you're doing.
Well, you live what you preach. So there you go.
Try.
We'll make sure to link to that all in the show notes. And thank you so much for Sean for being on the Lead with Heart podcast.
Absolute pleasure. Really. Thank you.
If you have valued these stories or learned something from what you've heard, please share this podcast episode or follow me on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for your support, and together we can build a better community and world.